PILS committee? Hey, well, what you doing? This is my video. Hey, PILS committee. My name is Georgia Mansour Namo, or as you will soon call me, Gio. I mean, when we get to know each other. So let me start off by breaking the ice and telling you a bad pun I thought of a few seconds before pressing record. So after a soccer game, a player comes to me and asks me, "Have you seen my asshole?" I reply saying that I hope it's in his pants, because why would I have seen his asshole, you know? So he starts looking in his pockets and then looks at me with anger. He's like, "Bro, I need to rub my asshole on my skin after every game. It's crucial. Help me find it." And I'm just looking at this guy. He's like, this guy wants me to help him find his asshole? I'm just gonna back off. After the next game, the following week, he comes to me with a cream in his hand. He's like, "I finally found my asshole." And turns out the asshole he was talking about isn't his body asshole. It was an antifungal drug that he uses to treat his athlete's foot. And yeah, it's pretty bad, I guess, but it does the job. So next, let me tell you about a story that happened to me a few years ago and that I believe led me to pharmacology. So I was walking down the streets in Lebanon, where I come from. I was with my grandmother and a bomb came off on the other side of the street. And at that moment, I had to flee the country. But seeing that bomb and how people were affected and covered with dust and those chemical radiations, even as a kid, it got me very interested into chemistry of how the bomb went off and mostly how those chemicals and eventually drugs affect our bodies. And here I am today in pharmacology, still trying to figure that out. And it's a very wide question, wider than I could ever expect. I thought it was going to be a simple answer, like, oh, hits your brain, dead, you know. But it's so much more than that. And I'm very happy to be learning that. And when I told my grandma I was going into pharmacology, she got so excited. And I was surprised because I'm like, usually people don't know about pharmacology, but apparently she was excited that I was becoming a pharmacist. This is a true story because in the Middle Eastern countries, all your parents and grandparents want from you is to become a pharmacist or a doctor. So I had to explain to her what a pharmacologist was. And I used a drug cartel analogy to explain that to her, because she loves investigator shows and all those things on Netflix. So in a drug cartel, you have a buyer that gets his drugs from a seller, the seller gets his drug from a provider, and the provider gets them from the maker. And the maker is where the pharmacologists come in. They're the ones playing around with the drugs and figuring out how you can get that person hooked, how you can get him feeling those emotions by playing with the arrangements of the structure. And on the other hand, the pharmacist is the seller. He just sells what the maker does. So anyone looked at me, she's like, "Oh, so you're gonna do drugs?" I'm like, "Yes, but the good type, like the ones that might solve this pandemic if it's not solved yet, you know." And finally, let me tell you why I'd be great for this position. I'd be great for this position because, as I mentioned when I met you guys, I'm great at time management. And that's not trying to be modest or anything, but I think it's very important, especially with the shift we're experiencing to university, especially online. It could be overwhelming at first, but I think I could really help people with that. Second, I love online education. That's pretty controversial, I know, but I feel like it's better, it's more fun. The only downside is not being able to meet you guys in person, but otherwise it's pretty fun, and I think that's very important since we're going to be spending this semester, and as you might find out in a few days, the next semester also online, you know? And I think that would put me in a good spot for this position for the next year. And I just like to thank you guys for this opportunity and making me go on to round 2. I didn't even think I was gonna make it through round 1 because I'm pretty awkward at first. As you can see, I'm talking very fast. So just, you know.
Peace up, A-Town.